Welcome to this presentation by Facilitators Research. This research is distributed exclusively for informational and educational purposes and does not constitute financial, legal, tax, or investment advice. For such services, you may reach out to speak to one of our officers.
Investment Entities. Section 11.1. General. Section 11.1.1. General. When evaluating a listing application for an investment entity, the MSM shall take into account that those responsible for managing the investments have experience. B. There is spread of investment risk. C. Except where legally provided for, the investment entity is a passive investor. D. The investment entity, its management company, any director or manager of both the investment entity and its management company do not control, or seek to control, be actively involved in the management of the companies or other entities in which it invests, and E. The applicant does not speculate in securities. Section 11.2. Additional conditions for listing. Section 11.2.1. Additional conditions for listing, 1 of 4. An investment company shall comply with the conditions for listing, as set out in Section 3 with the following modifications and additional conditions except where provided for under the Central Bank of Lesotho, Collective Investment Schemes, Regulations 2018. If the investment company is not able to satisfy fully the conditions set out in Rule 3.2.1 F, 1, and J, it must satisfy the MSM that its directors have, and if one is appointed, its investment manager has sufficient and satisfactory experience in the management of investments of the type in which the company proposes to invest. B. The applicant must express an intention that its income will be derived wholly or mainly from shares or other securities, and neither the investment entity nor any of its subsidiaries may conduct any trading activity which is material to the group as a whole. Section 11.2.1. Additional conditions for listing, 2 of 4. C. Subject to D below, neither the investment entity nor its management company, nor any subsidiary, director or manager of the investment entity or its management company should control or seek to control, or be actively involved in the management of the companies or other entities in which it invests, provided that an investment entity may acquire voting control of its investments if this is permitted under its investment policy. D. If the investment entity invests in other companies or funds which in turn invests in a portfolio of investments, it must ensure that the policies and objectives of the investee entity conform with the principal objectives of the investment entity. Section 11.2.1. Additional conditions for listing, 3 of 4. E. The board of directors or any equivalent body of the investment entity must be able to demonstrate that it will act independently of any investment managers of the investment entity, and a majority must not be employees of or professional advisors to the investment managers, or any other company in the same group as the investment managers. F. The management company must at all times have an investment in the capital of the applicant equal to at least 10% of the capital, unless the MSM, in its sole discretion after taking account of the relevant experience of the management company, otherwise decides. And G. The applicant must disclose its portfolio to shareholders on a quarterly basis until such time when at least half 50% of the portfolio has been established in investments other than cash or short-dated securities. Section 11.2.1. Additional conditions for listing, 4 of 4. H. Dividends must not be paid unless they are covered by income received from underlying investments. Section 11.3. Contents of a prospectus. Section 11.3.1. Contents of a prospectus, 1 of 3. The requirements of Section 6 apply with appropriate modification as agreed with the MSM. In addition, the following information should be provided if applicable. A. A description of the investment policy to be followed. B. An analysis of the investment portfolio, or proposed investment portfolio by 1. Broad industrial or commercial sector, and 2. Listed and unlisted investments. C. An analysis of funds not invested in shares or securities. D. An analysis of income between dividends, interest and other forms of income. E. A list of all investments with a value greater than 5% of the fund stating 1. A brief description of the business. 2. Whether the securities held by the investment entity are listed. and if so, the name of the stock exchange. 3. The proportion of share capital owned. 4. The cost of the investment. Section 11.3.1. Contents of a prospectus. 2 of 3. 5. The market value of the investments, or if the investment is not listed, a valuation by the directors of the investment entity stating the date of such valuation. 6. The income received during the year, including any abnormal income. 7. Any extraordinary items. And 8. The net assets attributable to the investment. F. An analysis of any provision for reduction in value of investments, naming the investments against which provision has been made and stating for each investments. 1. Its cost. 2. Its book value. 3. The provision made. And 4. The reason for the provision. G. An analysis of any unrealized profits stating separately those between listed and unlisted investments. Section 11.3.1. Contents of a prospectus. 3 of 3. H. Details must be given to the name of the group or company which manages the investments, together with an indication of the terms and duration of their appointment, the basis for their remuneration and details of their investment experience. Section 11.4. Annual financial statements. Section 11.4.1. Annual financial statements. In addition to the financial information required as specified, an investment entity shall report the information required in paragraph 11.3.1 above in its annual financial statements. Section 11.5. Investment policy. Section 11.5.1. Investment policy. The investment policy shall be stated in the prospectus and shall be adhered to for at least 3 years following listing. Section 11.5.2. Investment policy. All changes to the investment policy shall be approved by shareholders in general meeting and be filed with MSM with 7 days of such approval. Section 11.6. Articles of Incorporation. Section 11.6.1. Articles of Incorporation. The articles of incorporation or equivalent documents of the investment entity shall, except where the MSM otherwise agrees, prohibit the distribution as dividend of a profits from associate companies unless and until distributed to the investment entity. B. Surpluses arising from the realization of investments except to the extent that the MSM agrees.